7 days. No ChatGPT Plus, no Midjourney, no Copilot, no paid subscriptions of any kind. I wiped my entire AI toolkit and replaced every single piece of it with free alternatives. And I did not just test them for 5 minutes and call it a day. I actually ran my full workflow through them. Research, writing, coding, visuals, everything. Now, I will be honest with you. Going in, I expected a disaster. I have been paying for these tools for a while. I know what they can do. And I figured that the moment I switched to free versions, I would hit a wall, some task where the free tool just could not keep up, and I would have to go crawling back to my subscriptions. Here is the thing, that moment never came. Not once in 7 days did I feel like I was working with inferior tools. In fact, and I know this sounds like a clickbait setup, but stay with me. In a couple of areas, the free tools actually performed better. So here is exactly what happened, day by day, task by task. Let's get into it. The first thing I tackle every morning is research and brainstorming. This is where I used to rely on ChatGPT Plus almost exclusively. I would throw a broad topic at it, ask for angles, ask for counterarguments, and use the output as a starting point. So on day 1, I swapped it out for Claude 3.5 Sonnet, free tier, no credit card, and DeepSeek v3. And honestly, this is where things got interesting immediately. I gave both tools the same research brief I would have given ChatGPT, a fairly complex topic. I needed multiple angles, I needed sources to check, and I needed a structured breakdown I could actually use. Claude came back with something that felt genuinely thought through, not a list of bullet points dressed up as analysis, actual reasoning. It connected ideas that I would not have connected myself, and it flagged a couple of assumptions in my brief that were worth questioning. DeepSeek, on the other hand, is in a different category when it comes to structured thinking. I turned on thinking mode, where you can watch it reason through the problem step by step before it gives you an answer. And it mapped out the topic in a way that felt more like a strategy consultant than a chatbot. Here is the catch, though. DeepSeek is not where you want to land your final output. It is where you generate raw material. The reasoning is excellent. The prose is functional. So what I started doing is running the research phase through DeepSeek, then handing off the structure to Claude for refinement. 2 free tools. Working together. Better output than what I was getting from a single paid subscription. That was day 1. And I already knew this week was going to go differently than I expected. Writing is the core of my workflow. Scripts, articles, structured outlines, long-form content. This is the area where I was most skeptical about going free, because writing quality is the hardest thing to fake. So I ran Claude hard on this one. I gave it a full content brief. Topic, target audience, tone, length, key points to hit. And what came back was clean. Genuinely clean. The structure was logical, the transitions worked, and the tone matched what I asked for without me having to prompt engineer it into submission. What surprised me most was the projects feature on the free tier. You can create a persistent workspace where Claude holds the context of your entire project. Your style guide, your past drafts, your specific instructions. I set it up once on day 2 and did not have to re-explain my workflow for the rest of the week. That is something ChatGPT Plus does as well, yes, but I was paying $20 a month for it. Claude gives you the same capability for $0. However, and I want to be real here, the free tier does have message limits. If you are writing at high volume, you will hit a cap. When that happened to me, I switched over to DeepSeek for the session and kept working. No interruption, no lost momentum. The 2 tools effectively covered each other's gaps, which is something a single subscription can never do. I will keep this section short because coding is not the main focus of my workflow, but I do run into technical tasks regularly. Automations, scripts, fixing broken integrations. I used to reach for Copilot, or the GPT-4o code interpreter for this. This week, I used Claude. The results were clean, well-commented, and it actually explained what the code was doing without me asking. More importantly, when the first version had an error, I pasted the error message back in, and Claude fixed it on the second try. Both times. Is it better than Copilot in every scenario? Probably not. But for the kind of one-off technical problems that come up in a creator workflow, free Claude handles it without breaking a sweat. This is the area where I expected the biggest drop-off, because I am used to Midjourney, and Midjourney is genuinely excellent. Swapping that out felt like the biggest risk. I replaced it with Ideogram, free tier, for AI image generation, and leaned on Canva's free plan for everything design-related. Ideogram surprised me. The image quality on the free tier is solid enough for thumbnails, social content, and quick visual mockups. It is not Midjourney. I am not going to pretend otherwise, but for 90% of the visual tasks in a standard workflow, it gets the job done. Canva's free tier, on the other hand, I would argue is better than most people realize. The template library is enormous, the editor is fast, and for anyone not doing print or brand-level design work, you genuinely do not need the Pro version. Between those two tools, I covered every visual task I had for the week. $0. So, 7 days, full workflow, 0 paid subscriptions. Here is my honest verdict. Yes, you can work at a professional level in 2026 with entirely free AI tools. I did not lose a single deliverable this week. I did not miss a deadline. I did not produce work I was embarrassed to send. But here is what I did not expect, the thing that actually changed how I think about this. When you are locked into one $20 a month subscription, you use that tool for everything. Whether it is the right tool or not, you force your workflow around the subscription you already paid for. When you go free, you stop doing that. You use DeepSeek when DeepSeek is the right call. You use Claude when Claude is the right call. You use AI Studio when you have a 200-page document that nothing else can handle. You build a workflow around the best tool for each job, not around the tool you already paid for. That is actually a smarter way to work, and it costs nothing. Now, will I ever go back to paid tools? Probably for specific use cases. There are things Midjourney does that Ideogram does not. There are moments where a paid tier removes friction in a way that matters. But as a default workflow, free wins, hands down. In 2026, the gap between free and paid AI has closed to the point where paying for the basics is genuinely optional. If you want to see more experiments like this, no filters, no sponsor fluff, just real tests of real tools, hit subscribe to ChronicPrompt. This is exactly what this channel is for. I run the tests so you do not have to waste a week figuring out what works and what does not. Next up, I am breaking down the exact prompting framework I used to get these results, because the tools are only half the equation. How you talk to them is the other half. That video is right there. Do not skip it.